Welcome back to another episode of the Rollin In My 5.0 podcast with KASL Customs and the infamous project. Ladies and gents, it seems like we're doing this a hell of a lot lately. We did a Sunday night record again, so this is about as fresh a podcast as you can get, because as I leave you this little introductory message, it is 9:45. Anyway, here we are. Just me and Chris tonight, folks. We hope you enjoy that conversation. We get into some of his latest and greatest projects that are going through the infamous project shop. Then we kind of switch it into the more current day, what the hell is going on in the world type conversation, which I think everybody typically enjoys those chats. So we hope you enjoyed this one too, folks. With all that being said, we hope you enjoy this episode of the Rollin In My 5.0 podcast. And as always, please feel free to head on down to the bottom of whatever platform it is you're listening to us on. Leave us a review, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, let us know if we're doing a good job, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Okay. Fuck, after 4 years of doing this, dude, we're getting high tech on the screen angles here. Jesus. Can you believe it's been that long?
No, as soon as you said that, and I'm like, we're wrapping up this year, and that's going to mean that we're going to start typing in like 05 for the season in like just over a month's time, which is pretty unreal.
Yeah, it really is. There's, glimpses of like moments within pods that stand out to me, but whenever I save one, when we're done, I'm on like episode 100 and like 80 something, maybe 90 something. Like, it's bonkers.
Yeah, we'll have to do something special. In fact, you know what? Whatchamacallit, Super Clean, who's always been, and I guess this is sort of a plug for them, and rightfully so, because they send me product. I won't lie. They do reach out. And the cool thing is they actually are on top of me more than I'm on top of them. So there's two individuals that stick out, which, you know what? It's worth mentioning, like, just from being able to get good service, because like, I think her name's Jessica at Super Clean. She literally like, hey, you need any more product? Let me know. Hey, you want to do a giveaway? And it totally just like came to mind as I was going through this, because she had reached out a couple of weeks ago and was like, oh, Thanksgiving's coming up. Do you want to do a Super Clean giveaway? Just make sure that they're within the US and blah, blah, blah. So maybe we can do a Super Clean bucket or box, mystery box. They usually do some degreaser and spray cleaning, degreasing foam, and then the spray bottles and wheel cleaner, sometimes some floor clean. They usually throw like a hat and t-shirt and shit and stuff like that in there. So maybe we'll come up with a plan and we can do a little giveaway for like our 200th or whatever. Close of season 4, we'll call it.
Yeah. Well, the nice part with Super Clean is that shit works like real good.
Like for what it is, because it's like a new age, whatever, biodegradable, it's like, yeah, you're supposed to wear your gloves, and I don't know if it calls for goggles or any other health and safety protection shit or whatever. Yeah, but for what it is, it does work very well. And I have to say it's nice and it's refreshing when I guess a company recognizes the benefits of, I guess, online promotion, or when I'm using it in a YouTube video or whatever. And the shit works great on carpet, folks. Like, I think I did went in Foxbodys because that carpet was just so nasty. That whole car was nasty. Like, it was a bucket of mold on the inside. And I literally just took like that foaming spray and I just coated the whole carpet. And I didn't care if it was going to like take the color away, whatever. I was just, let's see what this can do. Between that and the pressure washer, like, don't get me wrong, you can't expect a brand new carpet to come back out of something that was that nasty. But all said and done, I was able to reuse it. Like I saved it.
Right.
Like you could
Yeah.
probably dye it after the fact. You know what I mean? At least you'd know all the shits out of it, and then you could, send some color to it. But yeah, good stuff. It is.
I've I've never used any of their products other than the like concentrated purple degreaser. I've never tried the foaming stuff, or I don't even know if I've ever seen it in the parts stores in Canada.
Yeah, the foam one works good like on when you got your motor out and you got that like caked on
Dirt,
grease,
grease.
sand, grit, whatever, like in your timing cover and everything. So like the foam is good because it like kind of encapsulates and like digs down into it. So you just kind of let it do its foaming action, if you will, and hose the shit off and it works good.
You know, I've been seeing a lot of ads lately for these two-part cleaning solutions. And well, I can't even remember the names of the ones I've looked at. I think I can remember the like the call sign within their product line. I want to say it's called Stars and Stripes. So whoever makes that goes to show you they're obviously not paying me to say this. But uh it's this whole like pH kind of chemical thing that goes on where it's just a spray on. You spray the first solution on, then you spray the second solution on, and it's a no touch wash,
Mm.
which I'm always a little hesitant about this stuff. And most of the reason being is because I don't know what it's doing. Like when I see a clean like that, I think brake clean or acid, right? Like that's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen some other ones too where guys are cleaning like big rig wheels, going from like awful, cancerous, fucking thick cake shit to like brand new. And you're like, what? This must be
Yeah.
rigged.
Yeah. So
But I
super.
ran down some rabbit holes checking this shit out. And I mean, this guy's got a YouTube channel with a hell of a following too. And he'll clean like backhoes. It's wild.
Yeah, so Super Clean's got like a wheel cleaning product as well, but like you got to be careful with that stuff because it's definitely not intended for all finishes, or it's like spray it on real quick and then, you're rinsing off within 30 seconds. And if you got like polished or probably like a painted surface, you probably don't want to use it. But what came to mind when you were saying that is when I had the first Project Menace and I got that bottle of Dem Thangs
Right.
and spray like, you see the videos and you're like, no way.
Yeah.
And yeah, what? No way. And I was literally like, holy fuck, this shit really works. And then you could tell, right? The acid's working with the chrome. But where that comes in really handy that I found is like factory fuel rails, like that chrome coating that's on there. Spray it down with that and just hose it off, and like they come up like new. Like it's amazing that once you find some of these products, you can find other things or other uses for them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. I saw actually a guy posted, I think I saw it on Instagram the other day. He had the old Lysol toilet bowl heavy duty cleaner and he did his Raptor exhaust like a cat back. And the thing was rusty as fuck. And he's like, you want to see a magic trick? And he holds the thing up and you could see he had a paintbrush. So he must have like squeezed it out of the old gooseneck and brushed it on. And then he literally just hosed it off and like came up like new.
Really?
Yeah. And I've heard
Huh.
some people like use an oven cleaner on shit. And well, obviously,
Yeah.
toilet bowl cleaner is a new one for me. But now I'm sort of like, shit, I'll give that a whirl.
Yeah, I've done the oven cleaner, and I mean, oven cleaner is a fairly violent reaction and or scent and everything. I've done that on engine blocks, and it works for sure. But yeah, it's whatever. There's warnings all over that shit, right? Um, yeah, I like where my mind went when I seen these ads is I'm like, man, I would really like to gain some more of my life back, a little bit of time. And when it comes to like daily drivers, not that you don't care, but you just want something that's quick, down, dirty. Like, I like a clean vehicle, so let's just hit this thing fast. So I was like, man, these two-part cleaning systems seem like the answer. And I guess if you're not going for show quality kind of clean, you're just looking for clean, then why not? And this is the other side of it. And I know you'll appreciate this from back when you lived up north, but folks don't really understand, especially from the deep south, like the shit that we deal with up here for like a dirty vehicle. There's definitely two different classifications of dirty. And then there's just normal dirty in the middle. Like, you went down a gravel road in the rain or went through a mud puddle. There's that. But then there's like just, a little bit of road grime shit that you can get down south. And then there's like the shit we deal with up here. And the winter is a whole nother animal. But I mean, every winter happens again. So it takes all summer to more or less get rid of it. And it never goes away. It always kind of embeds itself in the tarmac. And when we get rain, your vehicle is instantly fucked. Like, filthy, awful, thick, sooty shit. And dude, what blew my mind the most about this, because I've just recently, well, last March when we went down to pits, had my mind blown about this because we drove through every season getting down there. And as we crossed the Kentucky Tennessee border, we hit this monsoon. So at that point in time, I had coyote guts on the trailer. I had road shit all over the place. I mean, we'd seen it all. And we hit this monsoon, which we're just trying to like get through and survive. And then the next morning, I wake up and walk out of the Airbnb and look at the truck and trailer. I'm like, did somebody wash the truck and trailer? Like, it looks great.
Uh,
So it's a whole nother animal up here. And that's where this whole two-part system really tickled my ass. I was like, man, if I could just get in and out with something like that real quick, man, that'd be the answer. Yeah, both vehicles done in half an hour.
True. Yeah, it's funny, right? Like there's always we've always seen them like the waterless watches and or this and that and the next thing, and it's always everything's looking all sparkly, or even like some ceramics or waxes back in the day. It's like you polish your car with this, you'll never even need to wash it. You can just
Yeah.
rinse it because it's going to stay so clean. And yeah, it's like first, puddle or rain that you drive through, especially up north. And then it's your car pretty much turns into like when you have that shitty tire shine and it slings up all over the side of your car. That's probably like the equivalent of like driving through a wet Canadian road. Like your car's
Yeah.
just coated in something that needs a lot more than, a heavy downpour.
Yeah. Yeah. I often wonder too if there's just a different here I go again getting technical, but like maybe there's a different pH balance to the water down south that comes out of the sky versus up here, because rain doesn't wash your car up here at all. If anything, you can have a clean vehicle in the driveway and it rains and it looks like shit after. You didn't even drive it.
Well, to that point, like when I wash with the hose here, and if I don't get that water wiped off or blown off or whatever, just because all the limestone around, like it'll leave like you want to talk about water spots you can't get rid of.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Texas water for you. So you got to be really careful with that. Like, or I guess, aware that you just need to get it off because, or run it. I mean, there's a lot of the mobile guys here have those, whatever deionizers and whatever
Right.
units that I think like sort of filter all that shit out so that you're and that you get more suds as well because the water isn't as hard.
Softer.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So my mom told me an old trick that I don't know that I ever did try it, but you saying this made me think of it. She said if you put like dishwasher jet dry in your bucket, it almost like coats your paint and gets rid of water spots.
Hmm.
Might be worth a try in Texas. Quick squirt of that shit.
Yeah.
Works
Crazy.
on dishes. I don't know what it leaves behind and or what you're consuming afterwards, but if
Or
it's on the
what's it doing
vehicle,
to your top coat if it's like eating away at it or something, but
well, I know, right? And that's always the thing. It's one thing to have this conversation if you're talking like, your pride and joy, something that means the world to you, you take it to car shows, whatever. But the daily drivers, I mean, unless you're one of these guys that's driving like, your dream vehicle daily driver, maybe a 20-year-old OBS Ford or, something to that effect. I guess it'd be a little older than that, 30-year-old. But, like how much can you or should you even really care? Right. But I care. That's the thing. Like, I don't obviously don't want the paint falling off my daily driver. But
uh,
at the same time, it's like I'm not going out there to polish it. Like, I'll tell you that much right now. I just don't have the hours in a day.
well, I'll tell you one thing. I have not washed my 350 myself since I've owned it.
Yeah. And that washing that much truck is an event. I mean,
And
pack a
like
lunch.
I just look at the wheels and I'm like, no, like not
Right.
doing it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a lot of truck. I mean, it's almost like washing a trailer. Like you're going panel by panel because shit's drying at the front end as you get to like the second door, you
yeah.
know?
Uh,
But anyway, yeah, something down and dirty. I'm gonna try this. Maybe I'll report back for anybody. I see Donkey Fix it actually had something recently in his story, and I was like, "This reminds me. I keep seeing these ads." And I asked him. He got a little technical with me. I was like, "Dude, I don't even know what I'm talking about here. I've never tried one of these things." But yeah, there was I don't know something he threw at me that I needed to pay attention to when you're buying them. But he said they do work pretty good, all things considered,
right. Well,
and they get actually like where he is, well, they get a lot of rain, and I think when you're living in a rainy area, it's just hard to keep brake dust and shit off of wheels and whatever. So for them, I mean, hell, if you could just run out there real quick, because this two-part system apparently eats all that stuff off too. There's some sort of chemical, not chemical reaction, but there's a reaction that happens between these two sprays that essentially just lifts the shit off your paint.
mm,
It's almost like a magnet.
yeah.
So I got to
Well,
give this a go.
you do that.
Yeah.
I want to know the secrets.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah, I don't know. Just like all these outfits are out of the States, right? So I'm like, do I want to get absolutely smoked shipping it's this time of year too when it's getting cold out, shipping this shit across the border and just to give it a go, you know?
True. Fair enough.
Yeah. I've been finding that a lot lately, man. I think I told you this about the Spall fans. Like, I literally ordered them through Amazon.com and landed them on my doorstep cheaper than I could through Amazon.ca.
That's crazy.
It just doesn't make any sense, right? Like, because all of it's just so fictional and whatever, made up bureaucratic bullshit. It's like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, well, what else is going on your end, buddy? What's going through the shop these days?
Um, yeah, I'm trying to play catch up actually at the home shop here because that black GT that I drove down in the summer ended up getting sold, and he wanted a number of kind of like nostalgic things done, to be honest. Ended up going with he really wanted the 18-inch Celines like on your coupe.
Hmm.
And to find them now in like reproduction format, which they used to be a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
You can only find them like in 18 variants, either in chrome, black, maybe white, but I know chrome and black for sure. But you can't just get a normal silver finish.
Hmm.
So I actually had to get a black set, then send them out for powder coat to get them done in silver. And of course, I got our good friend Tom Clark, aka Cinespilt, to redo some caps because I had like the ZR logos on there, which was in my opinion, one of the best companies for those reman versions.
Mhm.
And that resulted in the poor man's 5 lug on it. And then full like LED, lighting upgrade so you can actually see at night type deal. And wanted a little stereo system because it was all factory stuff. Uh, Headliner was sagging, being a sunroof car, so taking care of that. And then I guess where he lives, he was going to do Fox locks, and then he's like, I want something a little bit better. And I guess he is up north. I think he's like Virginia, bordering like, I don't know, DC area or something like that. My geography's a little off, but he's up in that corner. And the car being automatic, he's like, I'd love to have remote start in it. I'm like, well, shit, it's auto. Why not? So doing the old Viper alarm with remote start. So
Oh,
yeah, going through all the things, trying to get it sorted. And then got a friend of mine's car. It's been on a lift for a while here from San Antonio. And he wanted the ATS Brembo upgrade and all that shit. And he had the common rear main seal leak and a fresh motor.
ah,
So, and it's one of those things, right? I told him, I'm like, dude, your leak's not that bad. Like, we're talking a drop a week or whatever, which I get it. Once the drop hits the floor, it looks like 10. But
yeah.
do you really want me to pull all this shit apart just to put another seal in and it maybe could still leak?
Yeah.
Like it might even maybe leak worse than this. Hopefully not. But yeah, so I pulled it all apart, and probably good thing I did because there was a bell housing bolt which had gone missing,
Ooh.
and a couple other little, speed sensor, or the one sensor of the transmission clip wasn't plugged in properly, and this is all stuff that another shop apparently had reassembled. So I get to like nut and bolt stuff, and it wasn't a Ford seal that was in it, which is probably why part of the reason why it was dripping a little bit. So got that all taken care of. And yeah, trying to free up space in the shop.
Nice. Oh, you went paused on me, I think.
Oh, am I
There you are.
back? Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to free up space in the shop and then you dropped off.
Oh, I just said, yeah, my Viper truck's been at my neighbor's house for almost a year now.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, and isn't he selling his place too?
He is, but he's going to try and find a way because he's going through a divorce. So last time I talked to him, I think he's going to try and like buy his ex out of her half and then move back into it. It's because like the market isn't really good at the moment, as we know. So, and he doesn't really want to move. So I'm like, well, dude, if the market isn't that good and the house isn't moving, maybe you can buy her out for a better price now. I mean, not just to take the loss and, to part ways for the sake of doing it. Like maybe it can work in everyone's favor. She can get some cash, you can get your house and your shop back, and everyone moves on.
True. Man, what a disaster that would be to go through. Holy Christ. I know some of us joke around on days going like, man, it'd be easier without her, but holy,
uh,
where would you even start?
I know. So yeah, no, it's just been busy with like stuff on the home front. We had Thanksgiving was this past week, so just trying to wrap stuff up around here, and yeah, like I said, make the room. And I'm going through what's the process that I would. It's not R&D, but I guess trial and error process of Foxbody Godzilla swap stuff, because as far as I knew, Team Z was the only K member that was really available. And I knew when buying those K members, they said for manual power or for manual steering racks. And I didn't really think much of it because I'm like, what gives? Like, why would you make a rack for or a K member only for a manual rack?
Yeah.
And sure as shit, I go to put a power rack on, and like just one of the crossers that come down, um, you got to modify it. You got to like cut one of the crossers out and then gusset the top of the other one versus how it was going down. So like you can do it, but I'm like, why do you want to modify something that's brand new? So I start like doing some recon because like QA, and I would have thought QA1 would have been one that would have made Godzilla mounts because their K members are universal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just get different brackets that bolt onto the K member. That's for a Coyote, that's for a small block. That's fuck, they even do one for LSs, but nothing for the Godzillas. And I'm like, maybe AJE has something. And I didn't really think they would, but they actually do.
Hmm.
And so I had a really good conversation with, I think, a dude named Anthony last week. And I'm like, so you got the mounts for the Godzilla? He's like, yeah, we even have an option that drops the motor down an inch, like an inch extra. And I'm like, great, because I'm fighting hood clearance issues with the one with the hair up. So
Right.
that was the other thing, let alone the power steering. It was like, okay, I put half-inch spacers in between the K member and the frame to see if I could get the elbow of the throttle body down further. And it needs either a custom, long story short, I need an inch, whatever you guys says, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. At least.
yeah. So he tells me this, and then I'm like, okay, well, do they clear power steering racks? He's like, yes, they do. We made sure that we did that. And he's like, we also took into account, I guess, the geometry in the front. So like everything's like dropped down by default for the offset and proper, you know, anti nosedive shit and blah blah blah. So needless to say, I've got two on the way, which means I've got the control arms on the way that go with those as well. And to be honest, actually, I'm not a huge fan of the hammer tone that Team Z has.
Yeah.
It's just too loud, in my opinion. So it's just like, where's just a normal black K member that if I wanted it a different color, it'd be easy to send that out to get powder coated any color you want versus a hammer tone one with that texture,
You've always
not as
got it.
easy to do. So yeah, I'll be reporting back. It'll make for a good video, I think, for anybody curious because, you go out and you pay what, 3 grand for the Holly high mount accessory drive kit, which of course includes power steering. And why would you have all the amenity, or why would you want to put a brand new modernized motor in, especially in a nice kit like that the power steering, the AC, everything's nice and tight knit and integrated, and just have to go to a manual rack? Like, yeah, power steering just to run your hydro boost. Like, you might as well as go to a manual brake booster if you're got a manual steering
Yeah.
rack while you're at it. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't click with me. So Team Z, if anyone's listening, fix your shit. Like,
Yeah.
because you're missing, like, and I mean that in like I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but like, not everybody is building just to be race car. Like, you're getting
Yeah.
something new so that you can enjoy modern amenities, and all the other things. So, like I said, you can modify it, but why are you dropping $500 just to drop in, a couple hundred more on someone that needs to fab it? And then back to the hammer tone, as soon as you cut and clean and have to weld your gusset into that hammer tone finish, you're not fucking recreating that in any nice way, shape, or form that looks the
Yeah.
part. Like, yeah, you can spray some silver on, or spray black first and then goop some silver and like daub
Yeah.
it with a Q-tip or something to kind of give it the effect. But
Now we're
it's
doing arts and crafts. Fuck.
yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think, like, where does the interference come in? Like, is it eh, header slash, like
It's
side of the K member related?
so it's literally, and man, if you take the lines off, so there's your high pressure line and the return line that go in. And then there's the two fittings over that actually kind of move the fluid from one side over to the other.
Yeah.
And um, those are the ones that like hit this weird little crosser that's going down to support where the motor mount,
Oh,
scenario is. So I think the difference with AJE, because there's a bolt-in style, there's probably a lot more room in there where Team Z was trying to just like do the down and dirty, like minimalist
right.
approach. So, like with that
I was
said,
trying to think. Yeah, because I'm thinking shaft is like where the interference is coming in. I'm like, I don't know that I remember manual to power geometry being all that different, but it's more line related.
yeah, and the clearance as well of where the rack is positioned, like your studs that come out that the bushings for the rack slide onto. Clearance to the oil pan is another issue because it's like
Mm,
too high. So I feel like the AJE one, they've got them offset by default downward. That gives not only the oil pan clearance, but also gives the clearance required for the lines and everything
right.
to be connected.
I sure would like to be a fly on the wall in some of these like air quote bigger outfits that are kind of in the automotive world, household brand names. Like what goes on, you know what I mean? Like how does that occur? And how is there not someone like me or you or whatever in the back of the room going, "Hey guys, wait a minute here," right? Like that like what the fuck? Because something that comes to mind is when I uh ordered up my vintage air kit. And one of the questions the guy asked me was, "Is your car a factory AC car?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, this kit won't work." I'm like, "Well, what won't work? Like, what do you mean, right?" Well, I mean, it was one of this whole like, I don't know, really. It just I was told it won't work. I'm like, well, yeah, I'd love to know like what wouldn't, like what, but maybe you guys have something exotic that fucking I'm unaware of. But I'm like, these bodies are all the same. They all rolled out of the same stamp. So why wouldn't it work? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll get back to you. So we had like a couple days of waiting around to see, and nobody could answer the question. And I'm going, okay, listen, I'll lay on the sword here, and I'll pretty much like 99.9% guarantee you it'll work in a non-AC car, unless you guys got some. I don't even know what the unless is, you know.
Yeah.
But and anyway, and then doubling back on it all, because I think if you go onto their YouTube channel and see their old video, it clearly says there factory AC cars only. And I was like, guys, like you got to double back here and cover your tracks here, because I proved that all that's a bunch of horse shit. So yeah, and, and not only even that, like whatever. I mean, maybe it boils down to corporate finances. I don't know what it boils down to, but like you'd think each one of these outfits would have somebody on the team, like I say, that's just the annoying fuck in the back of the room going like, excuse me, wait a minute here, right? Like, why would we waste all our time and money going through this and not consider this, that, or the other thing?
Well, I think with both of our experiences in the corporate world, we know how sometimes decisions are made and how things are pushed along to production that maybe shouldn't be. And there's stuff that's sometimes beyond our knowledge or what we know or whatever. And as a result, a mistake is made. And similarly to the whole QA1 thing in the stalker vert, right? Like, remember the whole control arm
Yeah.
issue, right? That they were offset and they're like, no, no, we did away with that. And it's like, well, your old version works just fine, but your new version doesn't. And it came down to literally, in I still to this day, this is my theory. Somebody designed that control arm, they bolted it up to that new K member and all their new shit that they had on their 91. And they said, is it in the middle? And they grabbed a measuring tape in the wheel well. and they said, "Yep, that ball joint's sitting
Yo,
right in the middle."
the old
And
thumb lick. Yeah.
and that was the end of it, and then nobody cared to ever consider what's going on with a pre-91 fendered car. So, because it's not as aggressive as your traditional offsetted
Offset.
unit, but it is off. And I feel like that, if you kind of reverse engineer what happened, kind of makes sense. So I think there's some of that, and you know what I mean, just not enough. What is it? Um, I guess like not enough trials or beta testing, if you will. And like
Yeah.
even the Fox lock setup, right? I remember
For
I had the one of the first units, and Travis sent it out to me, and I'm like, yeah, no, everything is good until I went to hit the factory trunk release, and that trunk release blew the fuse, which is,
right.
for anybody wondering why their AC clutch isn't turning on, it's on a shared circuit, and it's because the relay that he uses is on a resting ground. So when you hit that switch, you're sending 12 volts
Oh,
through that resting ground, and pop goes the fuse, and then you're wondering why your shit isn't working. And rightfully so. You design something that's supposed to be, that's plug and play. Its operation is to pop your trunk or your hatch. Well, you're thinking, does the key fob work? Is the remote on the key fob working? Yes, it's working. The wiring, the relay's turning on. Who's going to think, well, does the original piece of equipment still work with that all
honest
now
mistake.
plugged in? Like,
100%.
so I understand it. But
See, with these bigger outfits though, like two things that come to mind for me is one, too many cooks stirring the pot, right? And you've got just this silly segregation of like almost kind of union style stuff. No offense to any union workers out there, but you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, I don't go past this line when I'm sweeping, right? That's employee B that does that, right? Just not going over and above here, just staying inside my lane. That, and then I wouldn't be surprised too, because this, I hate to even think that it still goes on, but it makes my skin crawl to think of it from the corporate days. But you got that one ass kiss fuckhead, right? That's like, this is his idea, right? And anybody that's going to try to even assist in maybe making his idea a little bit better, they're narcissistic fucks, and they won't take any advice on anything because now all of a sudden it's not 100% their idea. And they're like, no, 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 right? Everybody's going to want manual steering. Don't worry about it, right? This is my baby. Between those two things, it's probably more the first than the latter. But I know those, I got a buddy that just told an outfit to pound sand over like one of those jabronis. So it's fresh in my head. But yeah, I think it's probably more there's just too many people trying to stir the pot, right? Whereas like you look at you or I and it's like, well, anything that we lay our hands on, you've been through it from tits to tail, right? So there's no other input in between there that could have missed something or screwed something up or whatever. But yeah, when you got engineering goes, yep, it's good. And then you got, whatever the next guy, and then it goes to marketing, and then it just whatever. It's that big corporate wheel that
well, and to your
and this
point, like
mhm,
I totally, you can get that when you, or the sense of that when you talk to a representative from the company. Because I remember when I first reached out to Team Z, and you try and do an intro, whether you're a business that can, you know, just become a customer or maybe help benefit. But that was more of, I guess, yeah, B2B relationship on like a very high level. And then making the phone call to AJE, and I get the good old boy who's given me the whole backstory and how this came to be and the things that they factored into their R&D and why they did it this way and this option and that option. And they're actually one of the, as I was saying, I'm assuming I need the control arms as well. I know there can be some interchangeability, but I rather not have hammer tone control arms from Team Z on a nice black AJE K member, and he's like, "Oh, you want the ones with the spring perches or spring buckets or without?" And I'm like, you know,
Now we're talking.
you actually offer both. You know what I mean? Like, um, which actually brings me down to another uh, company, which is probably good information to be thrown around for people. So the 85 T top that I have that came from Bring a Trailer from the well, actually he was the high bidder, and then they negotiated because the reserve wasn't met. He ended up with the car, and car's off to paint, not staying stock, just kind of updated with a lot of stuff, and he wants a comfortable driver. And of course, like many people, he's like, "Oh, should we just throw the whole Maximum Motorsport grip package on it?" I'm like, "Where do you want to drive this?" "Oh, on the
Yeah.
road, blah blah." I'm like, "You don't want that on there." I'm like, "I've
Yeah.
removed more of those than I've installed for the exact, misunderstanding of what that's designed to do. Is it a great product? If you're on the race course, abso-fucking-lutely. But is it what you want if you're actually trying to have a comfortable road trip or you're cruising around town?" I'm like, hell no. So I started going down the path of like, okay, we want some upgrades, but a coil spring and a separate shock and strut setup, no coilover bullshit. And keep as many bushings where bushings are supposed to be, keep energy transfer of bumps and rattles and vibrations in the places that were designed in the body, i.e. in the K member and not through the shock tower, and so on and so forth. So it's like, well, now I know AJE has these options. However, I haven't really messed around with BMR, but I'm like, whatever, let me take a look. So I went onto their website, and they have all variations and color options. You can do all the BMR red shit, or you can do their hammer tone, which is almost, it's not,
Lighter or something. Yeah.
it's dark. It's very dark and it's almost like a pepper grain, um, as opposed to like that weird shit that Team Z has. So not as bad. Um, and I was thinking that, well, this guy will probably want all red shit anyway, since the car's bright red and it'll all stand out, look the part. But they actually offer, the spring perches, bushing versus like solid Heim joint shit. And so you got your race car angle and you got your more streetable stuff. So, I reached out and I said, this is what I'm going for. It'd be cool to actually feature a full, basic BMR outfit without going down this rabbit hole of thinking that you need all of this solid Heim joint style bushing stuff. And yeah, I'm curious to see how that pans out. So maybe that'll be like an opportunity to highlight all their stuff to a certain extent. And I want to, I guess, drive home the point of like, coilovers, I don't want to say are dead, but I feel like there's going to be some switching in the
Yeah.
future, like switching away from it. Just to, yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, coilovers can ride okay, but you can get a much comfier ride out of the traditional setup, and with the right components, like in this case, you 100%, you need a Bilstein or a Coney or something to complement that. Not going to lower a car and throw KYBs or, some shit on there, but yeah, that's, and they were really, really easy and good to talk to, which was neat. But I don't know if anybody has like really good BMR reviews or bad BMR reviews or suggestions, and let me know. But it seemed like in terms of going down just like an OEM plus route, um, for the price point and the options that they have, seems to be a pretty good option.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess maybe for those listening that uh, are maybe still asking questions to themselves as to why the knock on a coilover or whatever, the whole idea that it's simple. These cars weren't designed to have a coilover in them, and I know that there's other cars out there that, well, not really. Actually, anything that properly has a some sort of an OEM style coilover suspension, like the whole body of the car is designed for that. Whereas these Fox bodies weren't. Like
Like a
that's where your strut
BMW,
went. Right.
BMW designed to have it. And if you guys have
Mhm.
ever seen how the suspension geometry of a BMW actually works, like go look up all the different trailing arms, and they all have these technical arm names, but like there's three ball joints in the front end of a fucking BMW,
Yeah, it's silly.
which is all facilitating not only the performance and the handling and everything else, but by design around that coilover front end and the way that the sway bar links and everything that are, they pretty much bolt up to the housing of the where the coilover is. Um, and or whatever, spring over strut, if you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even then, those BMWs, those coil springs in the front are still the same like diameter as like your front coil spring would be in your Fox body, or if not, they're even wider. And this is going back to, when I'm always talking about the air ride and the airbags that are wider versus these little narrow things. Same thing with the coilover, right? You
Yep.
go to this little tiny Slim Jim coil spring that its coil rate it's exponential in terms of what's required because it's so slim. It's missing that diameter to give you the cushion.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So you go from transferring, well, you go from letting all of the weight in the front of the car rest on the K member, and then you go and throw it in the shock tower, where that's where the strut was designed to be held. And anyway, now you got a whole new place that you're transferring all this energy through a unibodied car, and the same in the back, right? I've never seen a car that's like actually punched or started like punching them through front or rear. I'm sure they're out there, especially like some of these old tire girls that seen some winners and stuff. But um yeah, it's you're doing things that Ford didn't want you to. And I know that we do a lot of things that Ford didn't want us to, but like this is kind of a big one, or at least this is the knock that everybody kind of agrees upon, right?
Yeah.
Um so, and to your point about like just throwing the whole catalog at her, or it's like I was trying to think of a good analogy when you were saying that, like, maybe it's like your wife already having like 52 handbags and needing a 53rd. You know what I mean? It's like, well, listen, let's just whatever regroup here. We got lots of bags with lots of pockets. You can throw your shit in there. That's kind of what this is like, right? You're like, I think I need it. No, you don't, you know, like regroup, maybe go for a walk and ask yourself what you're actually going to do with this car. And then, like you say, have a conversation with somebody like us that's going to go like, here's what one extreme of this looks like, and here's what the other extreme looks like. Where do you want to land? Okay. Because, like you said, you go full race car. I mean, that's, yeah, you got to really be in it to want to
Yeah.
be full race car, you
No,
know?
for sure, man. And and I'm surprised actually to this day how, and maybe I get it by design with Maxim Motorsport, how they just put a sleeve over the Bilstein. So Bilstein, obviously I'm all for, and then you're just dropping that sleeve over the housing of the strut that allows you to put the coil spring over and turn it into a coilover. And I'm sure that is by design of so that that works together. But like if you start going outside of those parameters to go any lower beyond or whatever else, you know what I mean? You're not getting a proper preload on the spring, or you got to start messing with a taller spring versus, this, that, and the other thing. And then it's like, okay, well, how far is that Bilstein now compressed if you're going down lower, or how much is it closer to the bump stop? And then you just get the movement of things. Like there's always like a clank or something that's, because you just have this loose sleeve that's sitting over there. It's not like it's part of the body, and
Yeah.
not like a I don't know, a higher end coilover where at least the body of the strut, you're turning that and not changing the preload on the spring. You know,
Right.
with stuff, you're changing the preload to change the ride height. And I'd be curious to see how that translates into the actual performance of the cornering and everything else of the car, because you're messing with the spring rate.
Yeah. Yeah, true. You know, to kind of somewhat circle back to how we got onto this topic with regards to like too many cooks in the kitchen and, companies getting real big and whatever. I remember having this conversation with Greg at FP Performance and asking him, like, what are the plans, like, futuristically speaking? Like, do you guys want to be the next Flowmaster? Do you want to, like, is that the where you want to go? Or and I think I'd had a few beers at the time too. I was like, listen, if you want my advice, I was doing the old boy thing, right? I'm like, I don't know where the like happy medium is, but I've thought long and hard about this, and I know that there is one out there that exists where you keep as you keep things as small as possible, but you almost have to, in order to do that, you almost have to like forego any of those like big, massive kind of beach house type dreams that you're going to have, because the math doesn't math if you want to try to like keep your finger on top of things, keep quality high, customer service, all those things. I don't know, you might be able to get a small beach house, but you know what I mean, you're not buying the mansion, because the mansion means you got hundreds, thousands of employees, all
Yeah.
these different hands in trying to bake the cake, and well, quality can slip because you're going to have a QC guy that's going to go, hey, listen, we can get this made over here for cheaper, and everybody goes, yep, let's do it, and then the quality is the shits from that guy. And so I mean, yeah, like I say, I'm still trying to figure out where I guess the equation that would
Yeah.
allow you to get yourself to a point where it's like, this is the sweet spot, right? And I
Yeah.
think the other road we went down with it too is, I'm like, I almost think you gotta forget about all the glitzy glammy shit, and you literally gotta be in this thing, like you live, breathe, and sleep whatever this thing is that you're creating. Like that old boy you were talking about that gave you the whole history on these K members and everything else, right? You need that. Like, you need passion, you need
Well,
that thing.
yeah. Somebody that would be, I want to say, very close to what you're saying, although kind of maybe on that tipping edge, because he did tell me I think he wanted to retire, is actually Richard from North Race Cars. So
Mm,
he's the one that pretty much designed the first real, I guess, rear brake bracket for your 5 lug swap, rear disc in the rear. And he's the one who actually supplies all the brackets to LMR now, to my understanding, although it looks like they have an SVE bracket as well. So I'm not sure if just the design changed enough that they could do the thing. But to the point, right? Richard's sole focus, 4-wheel disc brake setup and 5-bolt options, and very
mhm.
limited. But it's like, here's your e-brake or parking brake cables, here's the rotors, here's the, whether you're doing V6 or you're doing Cobra stuff, here's the axles, so on and so forth. Very archaic, like HTML style looking website that works. It's sort of like being on Rock Auto, like
Yep.
no frills of, fancy
Boss.
user experience online. It's just, here's the parts you need, click and order now. And, some people might be like, oh, well, it's easier just to order it off LMR. Well, I'll tell you one thing right now, when Richard sends me stuff, the studs are already pressed into the axles.
Right.
So how much time, already are you saving yourself there, or work that's already done, or it's just the stupid little shit. And like, he'll go above and beyond, or customize the quote accordingly. And it's comprehensive at the end of the day. And you're supporting that small business. Now, with that said, because he's sort of on the I don't know, exit path or whatever. There are some things that he could improve on, possibly. Like, you can't get a cross drilled rotor, or, if you
Right.
want, you can't get Cadillac brakes, or, maybe something a little bit bigger. He hasn't gone down that rabbit hole, which he probably could, and like start like, because everyone wants big brakes now, right? So, but at the same time, he's sort of playing things off. But I guess the newer version of him, depending on where it goes, maybe to get your thoughts on this, is Jason from Makers,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's all about the brand, all about the details. Shit, I still have his splitter um, installation sheet because that was up on the wall, and super cool thing to see. His
Yeah.
packaging is phenomenal. Um, all about the higher end niche stuff. And what I mean? It seems like he's doing okay with it. Like, I know he's got other things in the works. He's not just doing Foxbody stuff and not just surviving solely off of that. But what I mean, is that just the sweet spot of enough without having to, 10x the staff, get even more
Yeah.
space, more investment required. So I guess that
Yeah.
balance that you're talking about.
I know, right? And this seems to be the common story too, in and amongst folks like this, right? Is probably had a heck of a lot more fire in their belly when they were younger. You get to that point in life where it's just like, whatever. It's easier to stand there on the old metal brake and bend your brackets and fire them out to whoever. And so, yeah, maybe trying to find somebody that is a younger version of him to come underneath. And I know it's hard to find people, especially good ones. But yeah, Jay at Makers is a great example of this, and strikes me as the type of guy that's probably going to get old and gray, with the same amount of fire. Actually, who a really good version, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him in person yet, but I wouldn't like Rick Love from
Mm.
Vintage seems like this guy, right?
Yeah.
Was there from the start. I mean, when we had him on, full of piss and vinegar, um, amped right up about the new products and whatever else. Like, you need that, right? Now the shitty thing about this is usually you don't get a real good combination of like all the ingredients that person needs to be ultra successful. Jay is an anomaly in this regard. Like, he does have this. He's got the marketing, right? And his website's nice and his stuff shows up. Like you say, you want to hang the instructions on your wall because they look so cool, right? Um, Whereas, you look at another older boy and it's just like, yeah, no, the shit works every single time you order it. And here you go, fast shipping, boom, done. But shitty website, right? And it breaks my heart because then you got the big boys out there with the big marketing budgets and stuff. And they got the flashy website and it moves and it fucking has sirens and shit. And they're the ones that get the order, right? And these little guys kind of go to the wayside or whatever because they can't keep up with the big boys. Well, it's like
Yeah.
Holly running around buying everybody, right? Um, I'd love to chat with that fella. I wish I could remember his name now, but the guy that owned Detroit Speed there. I've heard him on a couple of videos, and I'm like, man, they must have thrown a big chunk of change at you, right? And you were just in the right moment of life. You're like, fuck it, right? Now I think they kept him on, and however that whole dynamic has worked, I don't know the inner workings of it all, but to go under a big monster like that, you really got to be ready to set sail towards retirement. Because I mean, you're going to sit through board meetings or whatever the fuck your, you know,
Yeah.
weekly bullshit meetings are, and just go like, oh my God, my baby is turning into a carton of eggs. You know what I mean? It's just a dime a dozen. And that'd be
Yeah.
tough, man. Like, I don't know. I
No,
don't
it
know if
would
I could.
be.
Yeah. So anyway, I know there's a sweet spot in there. You definitely need the right person that's full of piss and vinegar and really wants to see this thing through. Passion, huge. Like, you got to have that. But I think that's the only way, man, because you got to keep control of things. Like you know, especially on the quality front, you know,
Yeah.
or if somebody calls in on a Sunday or I don't know, whatever, late on a Friday and it's, you know, 1 minute past 4, your customer service is still answering. You know what I mean? Because you get it. Like you've been that guy on the other line going, shit, I just got to get a hold of somebody real quick. Oh Christ, I'm 1 minute past 4, and you get nothing. And then you got to wait all weekend, right? So, and it's those little scenarios that one guy that you helped out at 401 is going to tell 10,000 people just how unreal his experience was or hers with that customer service department, you know?
Yeah, and I got to say, Holly's pretty good because I've had a couple Terminator X issues, and like the one I even stumped the guy on the phone on the other end. Like he was taking notes and like, pretty much like if you figure this out, please call me back and let me know, which I did.
Right.
And that was sort of like the sign of having the right people, which you don't always see, especially in something as large as Holly is. But I feel like, to your point, they've almost got, or at least in my experiences, seems like the recipe that they have together of being this powerhouse. At least they've got all this right support mechanisms in place, where there's a lot of places that look big but small operation behind it, and then like
Yeah.
everything goes to hell. Like the customer support isn't there or whatever, but they have the biggest marketing budget and they're spending all their money there just to get the sales, but then there's no support. Dakota Digital is another good one.
True. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I
they've
speak highly of
usually
them
got
too.
a good old boy on the other end of the line that actually like knows his. And it's funny, right? Like they'll go through and like start talking about like the stupid button sequence that you got to do for programming, because
Yep.
like their shit sucks to program if you don't have the Bluetooth, or if it doesn't have Bluetooth capabilities. And it'll be like, yeah, no, do this, do that, blah 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 blah. And it's it's refreshing, to get that level of support and service sometimes, because yeah, it's hard to find. Haggerty is
Yeah.
another one, right? You usually get a car
Yeah.
enthusiast on the other end of the line. So, man, look at us
Yeah.
throwing all these names and things
Yeah.
that,
No kidding.
I,
Yeah. Please start sending us beer in the mail because we're talking you guys up. Um, I know there's actually, well, good buddy of ours. I'm going to leave his name out of this, but he and I were talking about this recently, and you know, when you're part of a big organization, you know, and you start looking around and or kind of rubbing elbows at the water cooler or whatever, and you go like, you don't even give a shit what you drive, do you? You know, like, which is very weird because this is obviously of an automotive flair, right? This company. And it's like, yeah, you like, well, the other thing too is when you start getting big and corporate and whatever, then all of a sudden you got silly hiring practices, right? And we don't even need to get into all that fucking garbage, but like, you know, all of a sudden you don't have people that have that flame within them, right? And the worst part about all this is the ones that still do typically have it extinguished, right? And they just start to punch in and punch out. I mean, mediocrity is like AIDS, like it will run fucking rampant through an organization. And it all, well, I don't know how it even starts, but I think it's due to size, is the biggest thing, right? And yeah, you lose everything that made you special. And it's just terrible to watch happen, you know? I mean, you probably experienced some of this at SEMA, right? Like, now I'm sure there's a good mix. I don't want to say like this is whatever everywhere, but you know, you get the person that just drew the short straw that had to go to the trade show, right? And they're literally there just to fucking breathe air. You know, like they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They got no fire within them. And it's like, oh man, like, but I don't know. Like we're living in a world now too where, Amazon pretty much fucking runs it. So maybe all you need is just a fancy website and real quick, convenient shipping. I don't know. I like to
Well,
think that the boutique style mon pa shop is either, I hope it's coming back. I mean, I know folks like us that, like this type of interaction with the people we deal with. I'll support outfits like that way, like, over and above any of these big boys for sure, regardless of their website or their whatever, right? But that's the thing. It's usually the website that gets you in. So if you don't got the website, how many people are like visiting that site and just going, this looks a little hokey. I don't know if I want to give them my credit card, right? I don't know,
yeah.
man.
No, it's a challenging time where I think there's a lot of people, myself included, that I mean, I'll pay more all day and every day to make sure that I get better service. And I say it all the time. It's like I'm only going to fly business class if I'm taking a flight, and I'm only going to go to a concert if I'm in a VIP or whatever it is, because I know, like, don't get me wrong, you can still be disappointed, but at least it's not going to be, the disappointment won't be near as bad as if, what I mean, you're in all the air, like the generalized area. Cause like, I feel like that's part of the strategy of just changing people's mentality that like shit is okay and mediocrity is normal. And so if you like if you can step yourself out of that, then the strategy is sort of like, okay, these people are like, they're not here to fuck around, and you know what I mean? They'll just go along with it and whatever else. We sort of have to elevate stuff. And I guess it's kind of I don't know what the word is that I want to say. Like, it's almost like a caste thing of like, the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. But like that whole middle class thing is being divided. I really feel it is, because it's just like you expect shit to go sideways now, and you're almost just like, am I the crazy one? Like, am I the unreasonable one that, what I mean? Like, even today, I had an Amazon return. Today was the last day to get it done. And of course, it's return it at a UPS store, which should have just been a drop off. And you know what I mean? Sure, maybe the lines are a little bit longer because Thanksgiving weekend or whatever. Well, UPS stores are closed on fucking Sundays. So
Right.
it's like, how am I going to drop this thing off? And it was for, um, $250, like a DJI microphone unit that was actually went bad on me. And I'm like, okay, I got to go to Michael's, next closest UPS drop off thing. And no signage when you walk in that it's a UPS drop off facility. So busy as fuck because it's the end of like Black Friday going on Cyber Monday or whatever the hell it is. And dude, like the line for the checkout is like zigzagged. And they're like, yeah, no, we do UPS, just, wait in line and we'll serve you. And I'm like, I need to wait in line for something that you guys just need to scan, or like scan it later. Like, kind of didn't want that because I figured, they'd be so incompetent, they'd just end up either taking the package or, forgetting about it in totality. But dude, 40 minutes
Oh my.
and something and like, I'm looking at this line and people are just, lined up, and it's like normal. And like this is supposed to be acceptable. Like,
Yeah.
this is supposed to be okay in the world that we live in today, and nobody's supposed to be upset about it. Or like, does no one remember the way things used to be? Like, fuck, me and Britt watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles last night.
Dude, I was just looking to see if I could watch it with the kids the other night, and any of the streaming services we got to pay for it. And I wasn't willing to do that. But I wanted to watch it with the kids. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so we're like scrolling through and we're trying to look for like the new shit, and it's just like, man, this sucks. And the movie came out in 87, so Brit was -3. And she's like, is this good? Have you seen this? I'm like, probably 30 years ago at this point. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're willing to watch it, let's watch it. Good old John Candy, right? And
Steve Martin.
Steve
Yeah.
Martin. And actually, even Kevin Bacon has his little cameo in the beginning too. And
Right. Oh, it's
so,
a beauty movie, that one.
so you're just
Fuck.
watching it, and like Brit's like, oh man, you wouldn't be able to say that these days. And then I'm like, more importantly, look at this poor fuck trying to get home. Days are going past, and the only communication to his wife at home is when he gets to a payphone.
Yeah.
There's no SMS update like I'm with this fucking lunatic, the fucking car burnt down, or I slipped and fell, and you know what I mean? Like there's
Yep.
none of that. It's just, and then he randomly shows up, and that was just, I'm like, could you imagine? Like literally
Yeah.
3 days or however long that because yeah, I think he leaves like on a Tuesday and doesn't get home to like the Sunday or something. Like it's just unbelievable. And now it'd be like, oh man, you don't text before 4. It's like, oh, you got a problem.
Yeah. You saying that made me think I wonder if some of these older movies, especially if you have them in hard copy, because I mean, the streaming services, they can just, oh, we don't handle that title anymore or whatever, right? Or somebody else now has the rights to it. But I almost wonder if like it's one of our current days, like historical, almost kind of encyclopedia type things, because everything else these days is online and that can change with the click of a button, right? So watching some of these old movies and going like, holy shit, like I remember when things were like that, or whatever it may be. Um, I wonder if, who knows, maybe they're going to start getting rid of old movies so we forget what
Well,
it was like in the 80s.
funny thing, we were downtown Austin the other night with some friends from Dallas, and on the way home, my buddy is trying to look up David Allen Coe, more
Right.
specifically the old X-rated album or whatever, which you cannot. It's been removed from like everything unless somebody like just like or
Downloaded it.
manipulates it at the title and shit on YouTube, or like it'll be up for a short while or something. He found one song that wasn't like it, or maybe there was two, and Brittany had never heard the shit, and
Right.
was like, yeah, this was, I think he did that album in the 70s or something. It's like really not that long ago. And that was normal. Like that was like listening to, I don't know. And it's funny, like Brittany put on this Santa or no Christmas rap fucking songs. And I don't know if it was like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj. And like the lyrics of it really weren't like, they weren't any worse, but because of the, I guess, the racial component that they had before, that makes those ones bad. But today it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on
That's the
like,
whole,
it's like they're playing around the loopholes and like finding ways to say shit without saying it. It's like everyone's Canadian now, just like, let's do this as passively as we can
mhm.
and get away with it. So I don't know, man. It's it's really weird. And to your point, like if they start pulling these movies, because like what is it? Isn't there was something that was pulled, a Disney movie or something, right? Or like the song I caught Mom Kissing Santa Claus, like they don't play that shit anymore because it like
No, that's
promotes
true.
that he's cheating or mom was cheating on fucking dad. Meanwhile, dad's Santa Claus, you dumb
Right.
fuck. Like,
Yeah.
who do you think's drinking the
It's a,
milk and cookies?
I know. It's such a clown world, dude. Oh my God. But it is some of these like old movie references that like my kids, and they never really, well, I guess they just thought that my sense of humor was my sense of humor, and in some regards it is, but in a lot of ways it's been formed by the way we were raised and the movies we watched and whatever. And I know a lot of the shit that I have come out of my mouth comes from like Adam Sandler movies, shit like that. And just the other day, well, we had gone on a little bit of a streak of watching some of the old Adam Sandler movies a little while back. And the kids are like, Dad, that's totally what you say all the time. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't invent it. That was Adam Sandler, right? Well, just the other day we're driving down the road and we were talking about football for some reason, and I referred to it as foosball, which was out of the Waterboy movie with Adam Sandler. And they're like, "Dad, it's not foosball." I'm like, "Oh right, we haven't watched Waterboy yet. You don't know the context, right?" But yeah, man, it's all that stuff that kind of forms who you are. And if that shit goes away, I mean, I got no way of even showing my damn kids. You know, it still makes me think of like when I brought that 70 C10 home and the kids couldn't figure out what the hell that one handle on the door did. They're like, it seems like it's moving the window. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, you guys only know pushing a button. Like it just doesn't, that stuff goes away real quick, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think how we got to this point in this conversation, buddy. I know it was something to do with like mom and pop shops, boutique style companies,
Oh, it
and I
was
had another.
expectations. We were like mediocrity brought us down the
Right.
path. Yeah.
Yeah, and just how bad it's gotten. Oh, this was one of the things I was gonna say is, one of the pods here that we've had recently, I was going down a road of like, you gotta find a way to like introspectively look at yourself and all these other things too. I mean, like you say, watching trains, planes, and automobiles, we watched it and just pissed ourselves laughing when we were younger. Now you watch it and you're like, wait a minute here, right? You mean to tell me we kind of had air travel figured out better in the 80s than we do in 2025? Like just wild, wild shit. And if you're not careful, like you were saying about going into Michael's today, you just all of a sudden just get like waterboarded into thinking that this is the way that things are supposed to be. And it's like, no, it's not. But I mean, we're on this path of like everything is whatever conglomerated and bigger and one-stop shops and 15-minute cities and all the rest of it. It's like i I really doubt this theory, guys. Like I do not think we're supposed to operate like this. I can't remember, dude, if we did it on here or not, but maybe we did with Joe, Screen Puff Joe, and we were talking about like even just friends on social media. Like humans are not designed to have like more than 1,000. I think it's something like 100 or 200 like close acquaintances, and I mean, here most people, I mean, especially if you're posting on the regular, you got way more folks that comment and reach out and touch base and stuff than that. And it's like that is like not good for your mind, when you're trying to keep up with that much shit, you know? I mean, imagine trying to function in and amongst like 1,000 screaming voices all day long. Actually, uh, I was thinking about this the other day because, well, so I don't know if I want to go down this road or not, Jesus Christ, but I've kind of walked myself into it already. Is typically, oh, I got to be careful here. Folks from the Asian countries, okay, tend to exist at a almost like a different frequency, if you will. Like they're not as they're not. I don't want to say they're not paying attention, but they're kind of not, right? Like they're just sort of in their own little world, right? And I know that there's a lot of jokes and stuff that get thrown around about that, but I mean this with all due respect. Like I think I've kind of figured out probably how and why that occurs. When you live in and amongst tens of millions of people on the regular, you literally cannot pay that close of attention to every single face. Like you can't go, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Like you would have an overload. Your fucking hard drive would blow up, you know? And it kind of relates to what I'm saying here with us trying to like be friends with 10,000 people. It's like it doesn't work, especially if you want to engage and like have that heartfelt relationship with people. It just doesn't work. So the moral of me saying all this is small is good. Like I think we were supposed to live in smaller cohorts. There's a reason tribes aren't millions of people in, some of the very few places in the world that still have tribes of people. They're maybe 50, 100 at most, you know, because anything beyond that and things start falling off and it's just too much. And relating this back to corporations and companies and whatever, right? It's like the bigger you get, unless you've got somebody that will forego sleep to try to maintain that small feel, it's probably falling apart or it's like sand through your fingers. It's just too hard to do.
Yeah. Well, but man, like some people, I don't want to say thrive, but like they like all that noise or like that busy and everything else. Like I think it's some people that want, I don't know, job security, expectations managed, like that, when you're just a number working for the corporation or working for the man, it's like no real, I don't know. It's like all I need to do is go in and I do boom, 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 boom. I'm done. I go home. I get a paycheck. Very transactional um, type routine.
Existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know, a medal to people that work in assembly lines for cars, since we're an automotive podcast, like to all the dudes and gals that put Foxbodys together and did the same repetitive task for God knows however long and put their time in and retired and whatever. I've had friends that worked for General Motors back in Canada, and they did the whole carpool thing, go to work, put hours in, come home and rinse repeat, and everything was good. And they were just knew that although maybe it was 20 years down the road, they had a retirement plan, they had good benefits, really good operation, if you got a family, because you got that sense of job security for the most part and all those other things. And, I sometimes, because I'm the polar opposite of that, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, not to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure you're the same way. And it's like sometimes, like, is that the simple life? Like, are you getting, if you're blocking that much time out, it's sort of like, investing, putting in the time so that you can reap the rewards. I just think generally most people just become complacent in those situations and don't use it for what that benefit could actually be in terms of the outcome. Rather, they still end up living paycheck to paycheck or complaining about shit or whatever it is. Like if I was stuck in that, it would be, I'm doing this now because XYZ. They're going to pay for me to go back to school or for whatever so I can get a promotion and then do this and then do that. It's like there's always action reaction versus just this. No, I'm just going to do this and put these bolts, these lug nuts on for the next 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah, I know. And these are whatever huge, huge topics. You almost need 10 people to like not forget anything to touch upon. Cause I know there's always well, hey, a lot of these people don't have another option for employment or whatever it is. Right. But I know that's not the angle you're coming at this from. I like these conversations. I think that, um, or something that I wonder about these scenarios is it's kind of like the old saying of like, you don't know hot until you know cold or vice versa. And I would often wonder if people that would tell you that they're happy in those situations just don't have something to compare to, right? They don't have the experience to know that there's more out there or something. I mean, hell, here's another movie from the 80s, or maybe it was early 90s, but City Slickers, right? And you get all those boys out there on the horseback doing their thing, and by the end of it, they're like, "Hey, man, like this isn't too bad a time living in a tent and campfires and whatever," right? Like, I lend myself more to that, is that they just don't know. And then the world is so designed to keep you swiping and, like on to the next thing, just sort of mind fuck yourself out of ever going, wonder if there's more to life than this, you know? And nobody ever gets the opportunity to check it out. Cause I mean, you come home from that assembly line gig right? And then in true by design format, it's like, all right, I got 15 streaming services that I subscribe to, right? And I've told myself the whole drive home as I fought my way through traffic that I just want to put my feet up and watch 15 episodes of mindless shit, right? And you do it and you fall asleep with the remote in your hand, and then the alarm goes off and you do it again and you do it again and again and again and again.
Now, I'm curious to know, since social media or whatever, the internet is out and people technically see more or have access to more than what is within their traditional bubble that they were in. So let's go back, whatever, 30 years before the internet was out and or really out and everything else. Let's just take travel, for instance. How would you know about travel way back then? Maybe magazine. For people in Canada, you'd probably see some advertisements, maybe on a commercial, Mexico, Cuba, one of these destinations. You wouldn't, maybe a Euro trip, something like that, student exchange program. That'd sort of be it. And if you wanted to go to one of those destinations, you would have to, I don't know, maybe you do a little bit more digging. Like maybe you read up on a country, the fucking library of all places, or maybe you watch a documentary or something that took place, or you saw a movie or something that like made you want to do enough in order to travel there. Nowadays, somebody swiping through their phone and a death scroll, all of a sudden, I don't know, pick some friggin' random country that you probably never heard of, and something's going on, and or a cultural thing is seen. So do you feel, so this is a question, that people think they know without having to visit because they see so much and they can just kind of like Google or social media or search some hashtags or whatever, and that's enough for them? Meaning the true type of traveler that we would be used to, that would want to go somewhere and immerse themselves in the situation or into that. Do you think that that type of mindset is changing? Meaning sort of like the kid that doesn't want to get their driver's license at 16 anymore because they don't need the mobility factor, is a sort of like, oh, I don't need to go travel over there. I can see enough of it online. Or if I do go travel over there, I'm only going to travel to the shit that I see on social media because that's what's cool. And I'm never going to go outside of those norms. Like do people go to the Eiffel Tower, to Stonehenge, to the fucking pyramids, to whatever, the wonders of the world anymore? Or are they just going to what Instagram is saying is cool? So I guess there's a couple questions in there. What do you think?
I think we're transitionally shifting towards just sit on your couch and enjoy it on a screen. And I hate to say it, but I think it's by design too. There's a reason that Amazon is so convenient, and DoorDash and whatever. It's just whatever. Keep them home, keep them glued to that idiot box, because that's the place that we can make the most money off them. It's also the place that we can brainwash them the most with little tidbits of this, that, and the other thing, news clips, whatever. But I think our generation, this is why it's so hard for us to appreciate it, still thinks in that old manner, like where you see that reel or whatever, and you're like, holy shit, I've never heard of this place. Like, put that on the to-go-to list, right? But I think, the newer, younger gen probably feels, and rightfully so, because you can essentially get probably very close to the same amount of dopamine from just viewing a properly edited video as you could from being there. I mean, it's like you hear this with sports therapists and stuff, right? They're like, lay there and mentally prepare yourself, like smell the smells and hear the sounds and do the thing. And because your brain can't tell the difference between your body actually doing it and or just imagining it. And if anyone out there thinks I'm full of shit on this, the next time you wake up from a very vivid dream, send me a DM and tell me how fucked your head is for the first 20 minutes of being awake, where you're like, did that happen? Like, I mean, hell, you hear stories of guys, wives waking up going, you fucking cheated on me, right? Like they believe it. And this is how that all works, right? I'm just not scientifically smart enough to explain it any better than how I just did. So, and then you have the onset of like VR, right? And these meta glasses and everything else. It's like, I don't know, man. I, I mean, we're just hopefully not, but like turning into just lumps where you just lay there and stare at shit.
So do you think because I've traveled a lot, so I feel like I'm biased. I'm 100% for travel. I've always wanted to travel. Not sure where it came from or why. Just maybe moving around so much in my
Mm-hmm.
younger years just wanted me to constantly see or be in new scenarios. But especially after the lovely 2020 year, um, and seeing how poorly managed planes, trains, and automobiles really are, it's
Yeah.
sort of like between that wanting to turn you off from, and I guess if you don't know any different, so if you're just like coming up, whatever, you're now in your teen years or whatever, you're graduating university, you hadn't traveled much, you wouldn't know any different. But to your point, like, I'm pretty sure travel was easier in the fucking 90s than it is now. And you had printed out boarding passes and this, that, and the next thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something is very odd in that regard. And I'm wondering if, like, although we're very transient, we're very mobile if we want to be, are we slowly becoming immobilized?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I wholeheartedly think that that's whatever in our futures if we let it be, right? Buddy, I saved something. I hope this works out for the pod because I want to try to like show you something I saved on Instagram Reels the other day that talked about this whole like perspective of things. So bear with me here. I'll see if I can bring it up and present it. And folks, if you want to see this, slide on over to our YouTube/Spotify feed and you'll be able to see this too. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it for those that are listening out there. Oh no, it won't give me volume. Oh, wait a minute.
The tokens of the clay pot mark the day commodities. 1,000 years old. No, it's actually.
Can you hear it?
A little bit.
That's worth a fortune. Do you want to hold it? Okay. No. Just be careful. It's worth a lot of money. Shit. Oh my god. Oh shit. Dean, go find a broom. Okay. Please tell me that was insured. I'm so sorry. Insured? That was priceless. There are only 17 bullets in the entire planet, and every single one of them is locked in a museum. But you thought it was an original. Why? Because the perception of reality is real reality itself.
Did you get this one? Did you see it? What you just saw here wasn't just about an ancient coin or a fake artifact. It was a masterclass in how perception creates your reality. The kid believed he just shattered something sacred. His body reacted, his mind flooded with guilt and shame and panic, but none of it was real. The object had no real value, only the meaning his mind had projected onto it. That is the actual psychology of perception. Your nervous system doesn't respond to the world as it is, it responds to the world as you think it is. Your beliefs don't just filter your reality, they are forming your reality. You're not seeing the truth. You're seeing your interpretation of the truth. So when the man says you react that way,
let me shut this down.
Of reality.
Could you hear that all right, buddy?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I do have to say,
yeah,
a pet peeve of mine is when people post these videos and they do this fucking finger thing.
Yeah, like make sure you pay attention to this, right? Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say that because I was just thinking it the other day. I'm like, I didn't watch a reel because I'm like, I'm not watching this fucking retard pointing at something. Like, you want me to watch, I'm going to watch it. I don't need you and your stupid finger there telling me to watch it. Anyways.
Yeah. So, sorry, folks, if that bored anybody, but the whole idea behind me bringing that up, it made me think of this as we were having this conversation is that, you know, it makes me wonder if the people that are whatever kind of live in that life where you wonder how they do it on the day to day, it's just their perception of how things are supposed to be, right? And you don't know what the other perception would, should, could ever be unless you give it a go. And I mean, man, that's why I'm so big on this whole, like, I don't know, go for a drive, go for a walk, like listen to something where you can let your mind just run for a bit. And I don't know, I think all of this stuff that we're talking about tonight is literally out there to like not make you do that, to not introspectively reflect and think for yourself. And, you know, it's just line up, take your number, get in queue, you know, and you just kind of robot your way through life. And it's really easy to see when you go out and, you know, God forbid you got to go to the grocery store, right? And hang out with what feels like a whole bunch of robots, right? You're just like, what are we doing here? Or go to Costco, man. Like that'll really ruin your outlook on humanity. You know, people are fucking ramming carts and stuff. It's just crazy. And you're like, man, like, what is going on here? Like, we're all part of this together. You know, I get it. There's a lot of us in here and it's whatever. You know, you want to get your food and get going, but like, holy shit, just take a minute and settle down, you know? I don't know, bud. It worries me where it's all going. And I mean, I see my kids go through this at times, right? I just wonder if like going back to us talking about the movies from the 80s and, you know, just sitting down and watching something simple like that, right? I don't know, like if they can't do that, right? And their life is just full of my kids, you might not even know this guy's name, but they watch this Jordan and Salish Matter on YouTube. It's the most annoying shit I've ever seen in my life, but it's a dad-daughter combo. And if you happen to see anything that's going, just listening to it's enough to make you want to throw up. But if you see what's going on the screen, it's like they've got a hired psychologist that knows how to keep you just like not even blinking and glued to that screen because things are flashing and words are flying up and it's quick pace cutting to this and cutting to that and whatever. And my kids will just sit there and stare at this shit. And I'm like, guys, you're literally watching two people's lives do like absolutely mindless shit too, you know? Like it's not even entertaining. But I mean, the way it's put together apparently is. And hell, I guess you kind of got to hand it to the guy. He's made a heck of a living off of this. Him and his kid, they got tens of millions of subs, you know? They put a video up and in an hour it's got millions of views. But like that versus planes, trains, and automobiles, you know, where you can sit there and actually have a piece of popcorn. And dude, here's another thing. Did you guys watch the whole movie?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Whatever happened to like, you know, those like almost intermission style, just kind of musical sequences throughout old movies? You know, if they're driving down the road thinking and Ferris Bueller's Day Off stands out to me when they go to the museum and they're just staring at art and shit. And it's like a 3, 4, 5 minute stint in the movie of no talking, no nothing. It's just like the musical intermission, right? That does not happen in Jordan Matters YouTube videos. It's just punching you in the face with flashes and sounds
Well, you get
and
an
whatever.
ad now.
Yeah. Yeah, and ads are totally built off of that whole structure, right? Like just quick pace, boom, 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 right? I mean, that's another thing that's changing, man, is like our attention spans, right? Because we're so used to, well, one, being able to control whatever we want to watch next with a swipe of a thumb, right? And two, anything that's going viral and catching on is happening so quickly, right? And if you pay enough attention to it, you can kind of see what goes on. Like some of these things that'll grab you. And as soon as you get got, if you're a thinker like me, you're like, fuck, they got me, right? Bastards. Where it's like, they know how the algorithm works, right? So if the text flashes too quick and you're like, what was that? You watched it again. Now you're 2 views. Now you're 3 views, right? There's all these little nuances that if you're paying attention, you get it. But I think the vast majority of people aren't. And it goes back to this whole like introspective perception, whatever, right? Like, I don't know, folks. I'm no guru or whatever, but I cannot say enough. Like, if you're listening to this, take some time to yourself, think, walk, drive, do whatever you got to do. Do something mindless. And not only that, I know we preach this one a lot, but like, man, find a way to spend most of your time doing something you love, because we all know people that are, well, shit, buddy, you just dealt with some health shit, right? And thank Christ you're still here, but people dropping like flies,
Yeah.
and it's way more prevalent now than it ever has been. I think everyone can safely say that. So whatever the fuck that's all about, whatever, we don't need to go there. But life's precious and you need to be making the most of it every single second, because just me saying that's now in the past. Like I'm now 4 or 5 seconds older. Like it's moving quick. So
Sure is. It's like four seasons that quick.
Yeah, man. And it happens quicker. Actually, I heard this the other day. You know how we all talk about how time moves so much slower when we were kids, or so it seemed, and it seems to move a lot faster now. I heard somebody break it down where it's like, well, when you're only 10 years old, you've only got 10 years of experience on earth, right? So like your perception or view or whatever of the world is so short that everything seems really long. But then when you get to our age and you got 45 years under your belt and hopefully another 40 more, but everything, you've got so much more to draw upon that your experience is now longer. So everything seems to go by so much faster due to whatever your
I could
experience,
see that.
right? Yeah. Yeah. It made sense because I was like, fuck, I don't know, man. Things seem to go by real quick. Days are flying by, months, seasons, whatever. And anyway, this was a theory on it that kind of made sense to me.
I don't know, man. What if you took a 1 month hiatus on a private island somewhere? You think time would slow down?
Yeah, like, is there a way to hack it and dial it back? Maybe. Like, if you could find a way to simplify life, like no phone, no internet, no nothing, right? Like, you just wake up, got to find breakfast, like simple like that. Yeah, you could probably get it back. But this is the thing, dude. Like, anyone out there that has a smartphone, you'll know what I'm talking about, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself. But like, sit down and go into a death scroll. And but before you do it, look at the time and then come out of your death scroll and all your giggles and all your whatever emotions and look at the time again. And guaranteed 40 minutes has gone by at least. Right? That's why these memes get so much traction on fucking Instagram when guys are like, oh man, I sat down for a shit and 2 hours later I couldn't walk because I had my phone out and scrolling, right? Like, it's designed to suck you in.
Yeah. I have to say, I feel like I could quit Instagram today. And Facebook wouldn't be hard to quit again. The thought sort of crossed my mind, and you know this from some offline conversations, because I've been literally like, what the fuck's the ROI on this? Because if it's not, giving back something, then there's no point in having it. Like, it needs to be doing something in order for it to be worthwhile. Because like, if I just death scrolled for 40 minutes versus if I actually got 40 minutes of extra wrench time in, I guarantee you that 40 minutes of extra wrench time at this point is far more valuable. So I feel like maybe, well, part of it could just be me, or part of it could be, I guess, the evolution process of your social media and your, in this case, business. I do not use social media from a personal point of view. So that it's sort of like, well, could I just, not that I want a bot or something, but like if somebody else managed the social media for me and only brought forward like really important stuff, otherwise it's like send me an email or do whatever. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm like, how can I get out of this? Like, legitimately, I don't want to turn it off, but I would, like, I almost thought, do I get a second phone and seriously go back to like a Nokia or flip or something that's just basic, that I'm only making phone calls on. So that way I'm only grabbing the smartphone when I need to, but then I'm like, then you got two phones and that's a pain in the ass. I'm worrying about charging and this, that, and the next thing. But yeah, I've been thinking about how do I split away from this? Because like even YouTube, I only do it for my own. So I'm not watching other people. Like I'll watch your stuff or I'll watch like a few things just because, friends, but I'm not the guy who's on there watching a bunch of random shit, like I do get caught on occasion, but I'm definitely not like the majority of people. And I'm trying to move away from it, if anything.
So here's an interesting theory on this. Well, and kind of ironic that it comes up after we just finished ranting about, say, buddy there at North Fab Race or North Face Rab, North Race Cars. Yeah. So one of the things that I think you could probably make the argument for him, what you did about his website, I don't know. I don't follow him if he does, but does he have a social media following?
I don't think so.
Right. So I actually know a guy here locally that does like some mind-boggling shit from a fabrication standpoint. And he did bring someone in to kind of help him out with the social media side of it, because everybody was down his throat going like, buddy, come on. Like, you got to show some of this shit off. And he never was. And sure as shit, instant massive following, right? Because everyone's going like, what? Holy shit. And that we don't see it, but I guess we think it or feel it, that this is all kind of funneling or back funneling into his brand and his website traffic and sales and all this stuff, right? So it's like, by removing that component of, say, your business, are you kind of like one of these, I don't know, I don't want to say like big conglomerates, but kind of in a roundabout metaphorical way, like, because you're dropping the ball on one of the components that allows you to have the presence that you do? Because I mean, there's still people that, like, we always joke about how small we think the Foxbody community is, right? And then you get this like random Hail Mary message or email or whatever. It's like, man, just found you. It's like, what? And I don't say that to sound pretentious, but I just mean like, we all feel and think like, we've probably touched all four corners of this thing. And where else do you go from here? It's a pretty small community, right? But then that happens. And who knows where it came from? Was it through a death scroll? Was it through someone forwarding something to someone, whatever? And I think that we've kind of reached a point in society that if you don't have that component, that online social media presence, you're probably missing a ton. Now, you've also built what you've built to this point. So like, could you put it on cruise control now? I don't know the answer to that question. But
yeah, because like, put it this way, I know you're really good about responding to pretty much all comments on your videos, and I've tried to, like, whatever, I'll give at least like a thumbs up or some automated response or some bullshit that YouTube comes up with. But like, just imagine you grew 10 times
Yeah.
online,
Yeah,
and
that's,
it's still, and if you grew 10 times, the money would be okay, but it's still not great. Like, let's be real. Like, is it even worth still hiring somebody at that point to manage it for you? It would probably be borderline, but um, would you, it's sort of like right now, I feel like I have the social responsibility of being on social media that I should respond to as many people personally because it's more about me than it is the brand. So it's sort of like, when does the brand supersede the person, or does it
yeah,
ever? Because if the brand doesn't supersede the individual is going to get tapped out. Like, I can
yeah,
only put my hands in so many cars or do so many things, me as the individual, that everyone wants to see the individual doing. Now, if it's just, I don't care what the Infamous Project does, or like, I care what the Infamous Project does, it doesn't matter who within the Infamous Project is doing it, meaning Mike, John, and Paul, or whatever. So it's sort of like, if you can get it to that point, then you're kind of talking, because I feel like you can potentially do more harm to yourself by maxing yourself out if the brand can't supersede the individual beneath it. Or like, how
that's,
to, and encapsulate the individual within the brand, but let the brand do what the brand needs to do.
yeah, yeah. It's a good point for sure. I just, I think that goes back to like this whole thing that I was saying earlier about like, there's this sweet spot that, you have to find. And it's sort of weird to even talk about, because like, if you were, I don't know, to equate this to say like a YouTube following, it's like, okay, I'm only going to take 250,000 subscribers, no more. That's all I'm in for, right? Like, you don't have that ability, right? And if 250 liked you, probably 500 are going to, and on and on and on. How do you stay engaged with that? And like you say, if, you've built this following based off of you and your input and your hands on things and whatever, something else has to kind of give. But maybe this is the conundrum of it all, right? Is like,
Yeah,
how,
like, how do I get the big beach house, Gary?
I guess, yeah, it's all on what you want at the end of the day. But, because you're in a roundabout way, you're kind of signing up for the conglomerate of too many chefs in the kitchen that, things are going to fall off. Because maybe you could try and find someone that's wired exactly the same as you, and they're going to be your assistant, if you will, and they're going to funnel information to you, only the important stuff, right? Um, but nobody's the same as you, right? Like, we're all individually unique. So like, are things going to fall and drop and whatever?
Well,
Probably.
because remember, our boy Robert Miller told us, why don't you invest in the help so you can keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing? And I guess, part of this and these questions, I love my year end self evaluations and everything else to see how I can set the tone for the next year. So, a lot of this stuff is floating around in my head, because as it does every year. And the reality is here's 5 years of doing nothing but Foxbody stuff. And is it where it needs to be? What do the next 5 years look like? Like, if in 5 years I'm still here doing the exact same thing, that's not enough for me.
Right. Yeah. Well, the fact that you're practicing what we've been preaching all night, right? The whole introspective, reflective type thinking is a good thing, right? I mean, I'm sure there's probably people out there that you'd break their hearts hearing that, if it ever did come to something where you were like, fuck it, I'm out, I'm done, I'm whatever. But I mean, I guess, yeah, it's kind of a scary thought to think at times, right? But you got to be real with yourself too.
Oh,
You know, and be
absolutely.
like,
It's not to say, it's if you're doing a SWOT analysis or whatever it might be, like you need to look at the ugly or
you
some
do.
of the realities, otherwise, well, that's just bad strategy. So, but yeah, man, it's an interesting one, that finding that sweet spot. And it's funny because, again, sort of getting back to Jason, knowing, and there's a lot of, I guess, individuals or brands that have other arms or other, mini umbrellas underneath the big one. That's why we see, I guess, let's, for instance, look at Gas Monkey, right? Like, a lot of the OG people, I think, are kind of turned away from the whole, what that brand has become, like myself included. Like, I don't watch their stuff anymore. Like, it just, Richard's Richard, and I can appreciate where he is and what he wanted to build. And it's like, okay, let's make the alcohol brand and let's do the energy drinks and, the merch and the this and the that and the next thing, in order to create this enterprise and have probably multiple beach houses, right? But look at the effect or the perspective, going back to the video that you've shown. He's in a whole other perspective of, or different audience. And is it as genuine as the OG? Like, there's a lot of people that were like, oh, what was a fat guy's name? The big guy, Tom. And Aaron, like some of the, before they moved locations and stuff, right? So, look at what happened by doing that transition, that smaller, manageable whatever with a small crew, to now what's this crazy, and the restaurant chain and all that other stuff, that he's doing. So, and what that means, like, you're kind of, I guess, giving up the grassroots, all the stuff that was on the ground, the OG stuff. You're considered a sellout in many regards, because you're getting rid of all of that passion, or all the passion based following for the people that just want to get in the death scroll or watch drama or do like this very like thin layer useless type of shit, the flashy, all the stuff like you said, right? Like the flash, the bang, whatever on the websites that are grabbing the sales.
Yeah. I know the other guy that came to mind, who he, from what I can understand anyway, has gone the completely opposite way, is Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't even know where that guy calls home now, but I know it's somewhere out in the weeds, and just whatever, bending metal and fucking shaping this and doing that and whatever. Yeah, there's actually another.
I feel like it's easier though if you go the route that gets you a bunch of money and you're fucking smart about it.
Right.
It's easier at that point to scale back and be sitting on a shit ton of money, instead of, I don't have that, big, huge piggy bank saved up. I need to try and get it and then, revert, like, so kind of different angles there.
Yeah. And I mean, there's another fellow that's come to mind. I couldn't tell you what his handle is to go look him up, but I've seen his stuff a couple times. The very first thing that caught my eye of his was he's got a black Ferrari F40 on this like hardwood looking floor, but it's on a lift. And then they're really nicely done videos, right? And it kind of pans to this just solid floor to ceiling glass windows in the front of this kind of work area, out onto the ocean, rocks, mountains, fucking trees, beautiful. And anyway, the more you watch, the more you appreciated this guy's house. He must be single, right? Like, it's just literally the dude's layer, right? And
Hurts the beach house.
yeah. He did. I caught another one of his reels where he was like out fishing on the ocean or something, and he's got this great big beautiful boat, and he's got a screen open, and he's doing like the Zoom call, right? The group meeting Zoom call, and nobody knows that I got my rods in the water or whatever kind of thing. So anyway, where I'm going with all this is, like that guy, well, he's obviously clipping on all cylinders with whatever business he's involved with. And then he's kind of made this little whatever fucking house for himself in social media land. And that's really all he's doing with it, though, at least from what I can gather. Like, he's not saying, hey, I'll work on your Ferrari F40, or hey, whatever, right? So this is just a pet project of his where no matter how big he gets, sure, there's going to be that breaking point where you just can't keep up with a million comments or whatever that looks like. But it's just the social media. It seems as though it's just kind of a fun little way of showing what's going on in his life where there's no income. Maybe he's monetized. That'd be the only income he would get from something like this. Whereas for guys like you and I, it's like, hey, here's what I'm capable of, right? Like, it's kind of one step in the process of letting everybody know what you're into, what your capabilities are, and whatever. So in that case, I would say, yeah, social media, no matter how big it ever gets, like, no harm for Buddy with the F40, because he's just letting people enjoy what he does in life, right? Whereas, yeah, you or I, it's like, hey, check this out. This is something I can do for you or your friends or whatever. So it's just it's an add-on to the big picture of the whole kind of business, right? Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, because I know you've reached out to outfits before, and it's like, you get the automated call, like, hey, sorry, you've reached out after hours or whatever. And it's kind of like, oh, shit, I'm already turned off, right? Like, that's not fun,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is, bud. Yeah, the deeper we go down this conversation, it's almost like the more confusing it gets. But I know, because we've often joked, and I know there's a handful out of other guys out there that'll laugh at this one, but like, hey, Instagram, just go back to pictures, right? Like back in the simple days.
Well, that's just it. And I don't know. It's like I said, there's just too much and spread across so many platforms. And, again, like TikTok being another one, which a lot of people are on. And both the two of us are kind of, I don't know, I've got maybe 20 posts on there over however many years just to know that my brand is me and not somebody else creating it. But, it's like just so decentralized. Well, it was sort of, I guess, in comparison, right? It was like being part of StangNet, the Corral, um, GTA MC. Like, you were a part of like all these different forums that were technically the same thing, and then you'd sort of be like, oh man, he's got his shit posted for sale, and he's copying and pasting across these 3 different forums. It's annoying. And now we're seeing the same behavior in all these different Facebook groups. So yeah, it's, I don't know, man, part of it maybe is just us getting old too, and or like
There
we
is
have
that.
more to compare against it, like the comparison, right? Because like I guess that's sort of the question of where, I don't know, like your kids, for instance, like where will be kind of their start point of whatever. Let's say, well,
What
whatever
they
your kids,
remember, simple
like,
times.
well, yeah, your kids wouldn't even be on Facebook, right? Like, I'm assuming like younger generations, like Snapchat and maybe TikTok, maybe Instagram, like they're not doing the Facebook. So it's sort of like, you know, how are they selling shit, or what's their community forum or their group, or like how are they handling that type of
Yeah.
stuff? There's probably shit we don't even know about, but um like in comparison to us, where it was like Auto Trader, newspapers, um
Landlines.
Forums, Craigslist, Kijiji if you're Canada, all these different things. And it's almost as, I guess, we've seen so many different iterations of
Yeah.
platforms from technical to non. And just more.
I think in the last 200 years, dude, it's fairly easy for most people to admit that, like, the folks that are breathing right now, so whatever generation that means you come from, right? There's a handful of them in there. I think we've seen the most amount of shit change in the shortest period of time. Like CDs, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that you can throw at this, right? But going back to my kids, the funny one is the one app that they jumped down my throat for a while was Snapchat. And we never ever did or whatever. But I remember asking the kids, trying to level with them. I'm like, what's wrong with just text? Like, what's the they're like, Dad, nobody texts anymore, right? Everybody does the Snapchat thing. And it caught me by surprise, because I was like, I still remember sending, like, maybe not my very first text message, but you know what I mean? Like, when it was still new. And I was like, fuck, is this wild? Like, just getting your head around text. And it was the old T9 shit too, right? Pushing buttons a bunch of times and to get the right letter. And but just how cool it was to be able to do that. And they went right past that being cool, totally forgot about it. And now it's Snapchat. And I don't even know that, I'm sure there's a way to text in there, but they're all just sending videos and pictures and stupid shit,
Oh,
So
man,
yeah,
I
the
miss
kids,
the old T9. I was a T9 Pro, and I didn't let that shit go for the longest time. Like, I had friends like, how are you still texting in T9? And like, I had it down to science, because like, you just needed to hit like the one letter, like you didn't need to go through. It was like smart, because it would like derive the
right.
word you're after. I miss those days. Those were good days.
So you probably would have been, when you went to like the air quote smartphones, you probably would have been like one of the Palm Pilot guys, right?
No. So to be honest, dude, it's weird knowing that I was like in tech for all those years, but I kind of like, I don't know, I dodged it at the same time, because I was on, I guess the only thing that I was like new edge, considering it was like Canada, was the Nextel fucking beep beep walkie talkie. So that way I
Oh
could
yeah.
actually chat with Lewis for free,
Right.
and not have to call internationally. And like, maybe it's like the engineering side of me, because like I was getting all the custom cases and taking the phones apart, and like I had like a chrome and blue Fat Farm case and like all these like brand name shit things that I would like take apart and put together. And my first smartphone was 2009, which was like a Sony, and it was more about the camera than it was about the smartphone feature for me.
Really?
Yeah. And it was like on Symbian, which was, I don't think Android was out yet. So kind of like late to the game for sure. And then I wanted the smallest phone possible. Like throughout all the years, I still remember I had this, like Android was out at this point, and I had this Sony Xperia Ray. And dude, I still have it somewhere. I have a collection on my phone. So although I wasn't I guess, a smartphone guy, I was more about the phone and the cameras. Every time Sony, because I'm a brand loyal Sony nuthead like that, anytime Sony released a phone, I got a brand new one. So like,
Right.
I was going through like 2-3 new phones a year every time there was this crazy release, and I would always go for the mini versions of everything. And then the phones just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I still remember like that one Samsung that was like a tablet but a phone, And
Yeah.
just watching people put that up next to their ear, I'm like, you look like a fucking douchebag. It's like driving a Cybertruck, you know?
Yeah.
So I actually, at that point, I started like reverting, and I actually started holding on to my phones longer. And I think I tried a newer one. I downgraded, like I went back in time, and my biggest obstacle was memory storage. Because again, I was more about the cameras than the smart features. And I couldn't store enough data, because phones, whether the internal or the SD cards you could max out. Even you could buy a 512 gig card, the phone would only be able to take like a 128.
Right.
It's like the card's too big, right? So um yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't know, I always kind of, and that was more about the dual SIM feature, right? So I could have a US SIM and my Dubai SIM at the same time and all that type of shit. But dude, even gaming systems, right? What was it? Sega. Played Sonic the Hedgehog for 1 week, returned it, and I got this Sony Walkman that was badass, because the music was more important to me than rotting my brain playing Sonic the Hedgehog. So
Right.
yeah, tech was just more of a tool for me than
Right.
um than something. That's why, yeah, like I don't really get into the death scrolls. I still don't really care for all the like convenience factor. It's good, but I don't care to have that shit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I went down the BlackBerry path. I think I owned every single BlackBerry under the sun, and not because I wanted to throw a bunch of money at them. I actually had a little bit of a hack figured out with Future Shop at the time, where you'd buy their warranty, and it was good for 2 years or something to that effect. And they would always come out with a new phone before 2 years was up. So you returned your phone under a warranty claim, and you got the latest and greatest phone. So anyway, I was kind of bumping the system with that. But what made me think of that was I'm like, man, back when I had a BlackBerry, especially the ones that had the keyboard underneath them, I could, like, I was an absolute fucking weapon driving and texting. One-handed, fucking, my thumb knew where every key was on that thing. And I mean, I could have full-blown conversations rolling down the road and not even have to look at that phone. And this was, just in case anyone's wondering, way before distracted driving was a thing. But yeah. And anyway, ever since I lost my keyboard, now I'm fucked.
And you know what? I think that's why I like T9 so much, because you were in control of everything in the smaller phone profiles, because you could do everything with one hand. And then it was
Yeah.
like, once phones got to the point where you needed to two-hand them, like that's, to me, that was like the breaking point. That's like the fat guy that got fat enough he can't see his own dick. It's like,
Right.
lose some fucking weight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The whole phone thing is just, it's nuts when you think about it. It
Yeah,
really
it is.
is.
I do still remember the very first time experiencing the internet on a smartphone. It was from a BlackBerry. We were at a ski hill. My buddy just got the BlackBerry, like they were maybe a month old at the time. And it didn't even have like a way to navigate your way like all over the screen, really. It kind of did, but kind of didn't. It was all on the side with a fucking roll button thing. But like, and it would take you hours just to like Google something. But the fact that like you open up Safari or whatever the fuck you're using and it opens up Google, you're like, oh, in your hand, like just mind blown, right? So yeah, we come a long ways, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I ever told you this, buddy, but when I was at university, there was a fella that I met in my apartment complex, him and his wife, and they had a little baby. They were from South Korea. And I want to say we met because we were both moving in at the same time or something. And they had me up one night for dinner, and we were talking about, I had all these questions about Korea, right? And he said to me at the time, and this would have been like 2002, maybe. So, and just to give you some perspective on like the phone I was using, it maybe had like 3 colors on the screen. It was still a flip phone. And I don't think it could text that one. It was right on the cusp of like texting at that time. Anyway, he's telling me, he goes, "Oh, you think like those phones are crazy?" He goes, "People literally watch TV on their phones in the subway going to work in Korea." I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way, right? Yeah, blowing my mind, right? And now it's like, "Hey, have you seen this video?" Right? Pull the phone out of your pocket, throw it in your buddy's face. Like, wild.
Yeah.
Times are
Shit.
changing fast, buddy. Buckle up. Well, I guess maybe just to like sum things up, maybe, yeah, buckle up is one good thing to throw at this predicament, but the other is get out for a walk, do some soul searching, do some thinking. Don't be one of those people that I'm making fun of in Costco. Jesus Christ. Come down to reality. And if you do think, like, all the power to you. If you're slugging it out in a gig that most people would look at and go like, how do you do it every day? Good on you, right? If you really truly have those introspective moments and you think to yourself, yeah, I'm totally happy doing this, great. No offense meant by any of these words, but I have a sneaking suspicion that more people than less have things they want to do in life, and they got some special thing that they should be bringing to the world. And actually, I don't know if I've ever shared this on here or not, but I remember when I quit my commercial insurance gig, and I'm not a religious person in the traditional sense by any means, but I remember thinking to myself, man, if there is any truth to this whole pearly gates thing, and I got to go up there and stand in queue and wait for my turn, and before you get in the gates, right, the clipboard comes out and, "Gary, yeah, that's me. Says here that we gave you all this fire in your belly and, all this whatever, get out there and get them kind of stuff. And you were just a commercial insurance agent your whole life. Like, you might want to get on the elevator and push down, like, get the fuck out of here." And anyway, it just made me think about that, because like life really truly is such a blessing. And if you're not making the most of it, you really don't want to be laying on that deathbed or standing in the lineup waiting to get in the pearly gates, hopefully, and be like, shit, I pissed all those years away, right? And I don't feel like I got the most out of them. You don't want that.
No,
nobody
you
does.
sure don't.
So anyway, maybe that's a good place to wrap, buddy.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Hey, well, we didn't do it at the beginning, so I think anybody that's sticking it out through our rambles this long probably already has left us a review or a like or whatever. But don't forget to do that, folks. Okay, take 2 seconds out of your day. You'd make our day if you bumped us up through the algorithm by leaving us a little review, getting us out to more other crazy Foxbody folks out there, or just regular folks, because we tend to talk more about regular shit than we do Foxes these days.
Hey, we loaded it. It was automotive Foxbody part heavy at the beginning, so
true. Hey, you get a little bit of everything today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. Till next time.
Yeah. Take care, guys.